Many of you have now, for quite a few of your years, been talking about the idea of following your joy, acting on your bliss. This is all well and good, and it is a lovely, lovely thought. But the idea is to not leave it as a thought. The idea is to fully understand why that is so crucial, why that is so critical. From our perspective, we explain it this way. What you call the sensation of joy, love, and excitement and happiness is actually your physical body's translation of the vibratory energy that represents your true natural self. That is who you are. That frequency is who you are by being created in the image of creation. So any time that you are willing to act on things which contain the highest degree of joy, the highest degree of excitement, the highest degree of passion, the highest degree of love, anytime you take action on any of those things that contain that energy, you are thus functioning like the compass needle that points unerringly north to your specific frequency, the frequency that was designed to allow you to create your life along the path of least resistance. That is why it is so important. When you act on the things that contain, at every given moment, without expectation and with full integrity, the highest amount of joy, you are staying most fully in alignment with your true self, and that will allow the synchronicity in your life to reflect back to you the idea of all the things that represent who you really are, and allow you to experience yourself as the true being you were created to be. And you will thus then, through that action alone, begin to remember, bit by bit, day by day, piece by piece, at whatever rate you are comfortable, you will begin to remember who you are. You will no longer be fragmented, compartmentalized consciousnesses, but you are moving toward the idea of literally rejoining, remembering, recollecting yourself into who you actually are. And as you wake up into who you actually are, you will then be truly understanding how creation works, the principles upon which it is based, and you will see that even though you can make it very complex or very complicated, the fundamental mechanism of creating your reality is very, very simple. And all degrees of complication simply come from one thing and one thing only: a belief or a definition that is out of alignment with your true self. Now, the only way from our perspective you can actually hold on to a belief or a definition of life, or a belief or a definition of creation that is out of alignment with your true self is if that definition and that belief is unconscious. But as soon as you identify, as soon as you define, as soon as you bring that belief that is out of alignment with your true self into conscious realization, you will see very quickly one thing that is very important. Any belief, all definition that is out of alignment with your true self, once brought into conscious recognition, will immediately and automatically appear nonsensical, illogical. It will not fit with who you know yourself to be. It will no longer make sense for you to hold on to it. You will see that it belongs to someone else. You will see that you have bought into it and taken it upon yourself as your own, perhaps from your parents, perhaps from your society, perhaps from your friends, perhaps from your loved ones. But nevertheless, as soon as you can actually shine the light of your true consciousness on a belief or a definition that is out of alignment with who you truly are, you will see that it makes no sense to hold on to it any longer. Now, if you do continue to hold on to it longer than that moment of recognition, then you can still approach it consciously and ask yourself the question, why would I hold on to something I know is out of alignment and illogical and makes no sense for who I know I truly am? For then, when you begin asking those questions, are you truly in control of changing your reality and who you actually are? The idea being that if you do hold on to something you say you know doesn't serve you, then you must have created another belief, an unconscious belief, an unconscious reason for why it makes sense to do so. And so again, you can use the very same understandings to find out what that belief is. And keep doing that until you have rooted out all the unconscious beliefs and brought them into the light of consciousness and allow the fundamental foundational beliefs that are out of alignment to drift away, float away, turn into smoke, which is all they are. It's just smoke and mirrors. Your physical reality is just an illusion, but the experience of it is real. That's all that's real, is your experience of it. But physical reality, that which you have surrounding you, seemingly, is all taking place within your consciousness. It is like a mirror. You all know, that if you have a glass mirror on your planet and you see your reflection in it, and your reflection, the expression on your face in the reflection is frowning, you don't go over to the mirror and try to change the reflection into a smile. You do not manipulate the physical reality because it's only a reflection. There's nothing there. But you know that the moment you actually decide to smile, the reflection has no choice but to smile back. All of the difficulty and all of the complications and all of the pain and all of the suffering you have experienced on your planet has been from your attempt to manipulate the reflection instead of actually changing who you are. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. Now, we understand that for many people it doesn't seem that simple, but that's all right. All that means is you have a belief that it's not that simple. And it's only a belief. This is what we are here to say. Any degree of difficulty and pain and suffering you have ever experienced is not because there is actually inherent difficulty built in to creation. All that only comes from the perspective that is created by the belief systems within your unconscious mind. Difficulty is not the purview of creation. Creation is automatic. Manifestation is automatic. It's immediate. You all do it all the time. If you were not automatically and immediately manifesting something all the time, you wouldn't be having an experiential reality at all. So the point is, you don't have to learn how to manifest. You don't have to learn how to trust the idea. You don't have to learn how to do it faster. You're already doing it automatically as fast as you possibly can. The issue is, what are you manifesting based on what you believe is possible? That's the issue. Because you always believe something to be true, and that's what creates the manifestation you experience. So the question is, what are you believing is true? That's the only question that determines what you experience in your reality. Because you're all born to be automatic creators, automatic manifestors. That's what it means when you say you are made in the image of God. You are co-creators. You are expressions that are co-creating. So the idea is you don't have to learn how to do that. You don't have to learn how to trust, because you always trust that something is true. So again, it's not about learning how to trust, learning how to manifest, learning how to do it faster. All those things are automatic. It always comes down to simply, what do I believe is true? So the idea is that when you have difficulty, when you have struggle making a change, it's because your motivational mechanism is simply having upon it attached a belief that is not aligned with your true self. For example, you all have the same motivational mechanism. You all have the same motivational mechanism. There's only one. There is only one. There are no exceptions. No, not even you. No, not even you. The idea is this. Here is what motivates everyone. You will always, unerringly, without fail, and I mean without fail, you will always move in the direction, change in the direction of what you believe to be most beneficial. You will always, without fail, move away from what you believe to be more painful. That should tell you a lot. Because if you find yourselves Constantly choosing the thing you know, empirically, intellectually, is more painful than what you say you would rather choose, then the question is, why do I keep choosing something I know is more painful than I'm saying I recognize is more painful than what I really prefer? That's a really good question. Here's the answer. The only reason you would do that is that there must be an unconscious belief attached to that thing that you say should be what excites you, that for some reason is making that thing actually appear to be more painful than staying where you are. You've got to find out what belief you would have to buy into to make your joy seem more painful than simply staying where you are, no matter how painful it is. This is the mechanism. It works the same for everyone. Again, for example, many people talk about the idea of wishing to attract wealth into their life physically. Yet at the same time, they may have an unconscious belief that if they do attract a certain amount of wealth, that they will somehow stand out in their society in a negative way. And they don't want to stand out in a negative way. And it's more important to them not to stand out in a negative way than it is to attract abundance. So as long as they have an unconscious belief that to be abundant will be to stand out in a negative way, and it's more important to them not to, they will always make sure they do everything in their power to never attract abundance. Until such time as they get a handle, a conscious recognition of the idea that they have that belief attached to their mechanism of motivation. But once they do, they will see it makes no sense. They will see, I don't have to believe that. That doesn't belong to me. Maybe that came from my mother. Maybe that came from my father. Maybe that was the belief that they were brought up with and they imparted to me telepathically while raising me. But now I see that it makes no sense. Of course I can be abundant. Of course I can be a nice person at the same time. Of course those things can go together. So it doesn't make sense any longer to assume that it cannot be abundant or somehow I will be rendered into a negative personality. That is what we are talking about. Identifying the belief will show you that it is illogical and nonsensical. And once you identify it, the very act of identifying it releases you from it. Because you have to redefine things in a manner that works for you. For example, many of you define the idea of a habit or a pattern as something that's difficult to change. That's just a definition. From our perspective, here's a new definition. A habit is something you do that you don't know you're doing. Once you know you're doing it, if you do it again, it's not a habit, it's a choice. So, once you understand it's not a habit anymore and it's a choice, you are now empowered to do something about changing it. Whereas if you just assign it to the idea that it's still habitual, you have no power over it because it's still unconscious. But once you know it's a choice, then you can ask yourself the fundamental question, what would I have to believe is true about my relationship to this thing in order to believe that way, to feel this way? Once you start exploring that, once you start examining that, you will find great clarity coming to you through the synchronicity in your life. So allow yourself the opportunity to recognize that you can change the definition of things in a manner that works for you because all things have the ability to perform double duty. No thing in life has built-in meaning. I know this will sound a little funny in your language, but the truth of it is that life is meaningless. What I mean by that is there is no automatic built-in meaning to anything. If you want to put it another way, you could say the meaning of life is for you to give it meaning. But the meaning you give it ultimately determines what effect you get out of it. The effect you get out of it is totally based on how you define your reality. This is simply what you have already recognized as the law of attraction. What you put out is what you get back. It's as simple as that. It's all about how you define your world, your reality, and your relationship to it. That's all it's based on. It's that simple. Yes, it is that simple. You don't have to believe it's that simple. That's up to you. That's your choice. If you want to make it very complicated, we would never take that away from you because that's your choice. That's your path. And if you want to do that, our blessings to you. However, we are here to simply let you know that it doesn't have to be that way. And it is completely within your power to determine what it is you will experience in every facet and every aspect of your life.